And here is our overexposed image which we want to fix. First thing we'll do is open up the Layers panel, and we want to duplicate this background layer with the keyboard shortcut Command-J or Control-J if you're on a Windows machine. If you want to do it the old-fashioned way, which is through the menu, just come up to Layer, New, and Layer via Copy. And then again, there's your keyboard shortcut. I strongly recommend that you use keyboard shortcuts as much as you possibly can. It'll make your life so much easier and your work so much faster. Okay, now nothing has changed when I duplicated the background layer because it's exactly the same. But what I do want to do is change the blend mode between the two layers to multiply. And there it is. There's the darkening effect. Now that came in, I guess, just about perfect. Really, I kind of like that. Maybe a little bit too dark, tiny bit too dark. If you do this technique and then you find that it's still not quite dark enough, simply do another Command-J or Control-J on a Windows machine to duplicate that layer 1 again, maintaining the blend mode of multiply, and it will darken up by another step. Eventually, you're going to get to a point where it's going to be perfect or a little bit too dark. If it is a little bit too dark, simply change the opacity. There are 3 different ways to change the opacity. 1, click on the arrow and drag the slider. 2, simply type in another number like 90 or 80 or whatever you want, another number less than 100. Or my preferred method is come up here and simply hover over the name, get the double-sided arrow, click and drag, and then watch the effect come in. And I guess about there, maybe I'll go ahead and leave that at, connection lost, connected. I'll go ahead and leave that at about 81%. I guess that's okay. Maybe a little bit more. Okay, 85 is fine. Leave it there. Now, what has happened, and what you may very well experience when you do this, is that when you get your subject exposed to where you like it, other places in the image may end up getting too dark, and what you want to do is come back and reestablish that original brightness. As you can see, if I turn off the visibility of this layer, not too bad. It's not too bad, but for demonstration purposes, I'll show you how to fix that problem if other places got too dark for you. First thing you'll do is just add a layer mask by clicking this icon on the Layers panel. And you see that's active because it has a line around it. And what I'm going to do is paint with a brush. So let's select a paintbrush here, which I already have, by pressing the keyboard shortcut B. Just press the B key to get your brush. Now, one thing you might want to do is adjust the size of your brush. Now, there are the size and the hardness of the brush, the edge hardness. A couple of different ways to change the size of the brush. One is to use the bracket keys on your keyboard, either closed bracket to make it bigger, or open bracket to make it smaller. The other thing you can do is simply come up here and drag the slider for the size, and you can drag this for how hard you want the edge to be. But again, I like working a little bit more quickly and a little bit more what I would consider intuitively, and the way I change brush sizes is simply with my mouse. I'm using a trackpad on this Mac, but it will work with a mouse also. Just hold down on a Mac the Control Option key, or on a Windows machine the Control Alt key, and then do a click and drag. Now, when you drag left and right, it'll get bigger or smaller, and if you drag up or down, the edge will get softer or harder. Okay, I've got it pretty much in the middle there. And now, one other thing to do before you start painting is a couple of other things, really. I've got the opacity set at 100% for the brush and the flow at 100%, so I'm going to get the full effect, and it's going to eliminate everything on this layer 1, the copy, and reveal 100% of the pixels underneath. But only if I have the foreground color set to black. When you're painting on a layer mask, all you can do is paint in either black or white or shades of gray. It doesn't matter what color you select over here. If I select a bright, let's say a middle red, right? Well, no, it's not going to turn red here because my layer mask is active. So it's going to default to the luminance value, if you will, on the grayscale for that particular red, which is about right there. So it doesn't matter. Bring it on down to black. That's what you want. When you paint on black, you will reveal all the pixels underneath. And there it is. Done. That might be a little bit too much. But for demonstration purposes alone, again, one more time, just to show you what the heck's going on with this technique, that's what you do to fix any other parts of your image that may have gotten too dark. Now let's just try one other technique here. I've got the brush set to black. Let's say on this one I want to lighten it up, but I don't want to lighten it up so much. So I'm just going to click and drag the opacity and set it down to, let's say, somewhat 53%. When I click on this, there you go. And as you can see over here on the layer mask, this is kind of that gray tone, and this is the black tone. And this is to show you that you did not paint with 100% black. So you just revealed some of it. And the other thing you can do, the other option with painting as part of the brush tool, is you can set the flow down. Let me set the flow down to like 15%, 16%. What that means is the longer I stay in a particular area, the more the effect will come in. The effect will come in slowly over time. So I'll click and drag a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more over time as it comes in. That's what the flow is about. Well, that's about everything I have to teach you about the quick and dirty for fixing overexposed images. Good luck with that. Have fun with it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.